They say love knows no boundaries. But what happens when that love is born between two beings from entirely different realms? One of flesh and time, the other of fire and eternity. This is the story of LAYLA and AZAR. She lived in the quiet corners of a small desert village where life was measured by the rising sun and the call to prayer. Her days were simple, filled with the aroma of cardamom tea, the hum of family voices, and the ancient tales whispered by her grandmother. Among those tales, the ones about Jinns, creatures made of smokeless fire, always sent shivers down her spine. But stories were just stories, until they weren't. Azar had lived for centuries, a Jinn, powerful and ancient, bound not just by time, but by a sacred law. Never was he to love a human. Never was he to cross into their world in affection. His kind had watched humans for millennia, silently observing, sometimes interfering, but never bonding. And yet, from the moment he saw LAYLA beneath the moonlight, reciting poetry to herself by candlelight, something in him shifted. He should have turned away, but he didn't. And so began an impossible bond. LAYLA first felt his presence in dreams, shadows flickering near her window, a soft voice in the wind, a strange warmth in the air when no fire burned. She didn't fear it. Instead, she found comfort in it, as if someone, some unseen soul, understood her loneliness. One night, during a fierce sandstorm, she heard the whisper again, this time clearer, her name, spoken gently from the wind itself. LAYLA. Startled but unafraid, she stepped outside, and there he stood, eyes glowing like embers, wrapped in the storm as if it were part of him. A man, yet not a man, real, yet unreal. And in that moment, neither spoke of fear nor questioned the strangeness of it all, because some connections don't ask for logic, they just happen. Their meetings were silent at first, a glance, a presence, a lingering moment shared between two souls who should never have met. Azar, the Jinn, taught her the language of stars. LAYLA, the human, taught him the warmth of vulnerability. He brought her ancient songs from forgotten deserts. She gave him hope he didn't know he needed. But nothing that beautiful is left untouched by consequence. The world began to change around them. Animals sensed the unnatural union. Dreams across the village turned darker. The elders, wise and weary, began to feel the thinning veil between realms, and LAYLA's grandmother, the one who once whispered Jinn stories as bedtime tales, now grew silent every time LAYLA mentioned the name Azar. "You must stop," her grandmother finally said one night. "That bond is not for our kind. You're stirring forces that should never be awakened." But it was already too late. The bond had deepened beyond emotion. It had become spiritual, timeless, etched into the very threads of fate. The Council of Jinn, guardians of balance between the worlds, took notice. They summoned Azar, not with anger, but with sorrow. "You have broken the law that binds us," they said, "and for that she will suffer." Azar pleaded, he begged, he offered his freedom, his power, even his immortality. But the laws of the Jinn were as old as creation, and they did not bend for love. Meanwhile, LAYLA fell ill, not of the body, but of the soul. The more Azar was forced away, the more her spirit withered. The villagers saw it as possession. They called for cleansing, for rituals to drive out the Jinn they believed had cursed her. But there was no curse, only love. In his final act of defiance, Azar returned one last time. He didn't appear in shadows or wind. He came as he was, fully formed, under the starlit sky. LAYLA, pale and weak, smiled as if the moon itself had returned to her arms. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "No," she replied, touching his face. "Don't ever be sorry for love." And then, in the silence of that night, with the desert watching, the wind still, and the stars holding their breath, he kissed her. A kiss that would break the realms, a kiss that would cost him everything. The ground split, the sky wept fire, the council descended in fury. But the bond, pure, honest, impossible, was already complete. And so, instead of destruction, the realms shifted, not torn apart, but redrawn. Love, it seemed, was more powerful than the ancient rules written in fire. Azar was stripped of his immortality, no longer a Jinn, no longer bound by the laws of the unseen. And LAYLA, her soul now infused with light from another world, rose from her illness not as a human alone, but as something more. They disappeared from the village that night. Some say they were taken by angels. Others believe they walk among us, hiding in plain sight. All that remained was a story, passed from elder to child, whispered near firelight, spoken with wonder. A Jinn, a girl, and a love that defied time, law, and reality. In today's world, where love often breaks under pressure, their tale remains a reminder that sometimes love is not meant to be easy or even logical. It is meant to challenge, to awaken, to break boundaries. And in rare, miraculous moments, it is meant to rewrite fate itself. This was the story of LAYLA and AZAR, the human and the Jinn, the impossible bond between two worlds, and the love that should never have existed, but did.